Hello, and welcome to another edition of Extra Connections with James Lott Jr. I'm James Lott Jr. And of course, I like to bring you people to connect you with people, places, things, and ideas. And this is one of my favorite people in the world. Pride the series, Pride the podcast, actor, creator, writer, producer, star, and an award winner. We'll talk about that also. But he's been on one of my other shows a long time ago. I've been a champion of him and his series for years. He knows that. And I'm glad to have him back on to talk about life and what's going on. My friend, Dorell Anthony. Hi, Dorell.
I love you. Hi. I'm coming to you live from my bed, which is honestly one of my favorite places in the world. Should be a lot of other favorite people's places in the world, but I am here. How are you?
I would not expect anything less from you. Oh, or more.
Well, right.
Yes. No, I mean, it's fine. I'm fine. I was telling before we were on air, LA is crazy right now. It's just between we had the rioting, and we have wildfires happening. The COVID thing is horrible here. We got a lot going on. Hollywood's still shut down. You know, my world just shut down. March 17th, my world changed. So, we're still there. We're not. It's getting worse here. So.
Yeah, New York is. I think that because we are the type of city we are with a lot of public transportation and everything, we were able to catch certain parts of it and we're on the mend, I think. There have been, I think it was last weekend, there were some cases that rose up 918 cases. But I think that was done through just regular testing as opposed to people actually getting symptoms and getting sick.
Well, you guys had it bad at first before we did.
It was terrible. I love the streets. I love to, if anyone knows anything about me, I love to be at the bars. I love to be in people's faces. And I think that New York is such a magical place, and something I like what you said is about your world changed. And it's just people in New York have a world of going to the parks, the nightlife in New York, even if you're going to a fancy lounge, going out to dinner at your favorite restaurants, seeing Broadway, all of those things changed greatly on, I think my last day in the world like that was March 13th. So it was very, very interesting to see, and you can see people putting their toe back in the water, so to speak, trying to see if this is it okay? Should I come out? Peeking ahead out the door, seeing both ways. So it's very interesting here right now.
Yeah, we opened up for a couple of weeks and had to shut back down. So people weren't observing stuff, and people don't want to wear masks here, and it's very strange out here. And I hide in my house and my yard most of the time, so I just don't even go out there.
Isn't it interesting how that's become? Because I remember I was talking to my grandmother, and she said back in the day, people did the same kind of being upset about having to wear seatbelts because they were afraid people were taking away their freedom, so to speak. I wish people would have that mindset. I wonder when we're going to hit the other side where people are like, okay, maybe we should wear a mask. I think, honestly, James, it's because it's summer and everybody want to be outside. That they're acting like this, because if this pandemic would have happened in the winter, I guarantee you we would not be hearing the same complaints that we're hearing now.
I think I agree with that also. Very true.
Yeah.
It's crazy. People don't like being told what to do anyway. So that's just number one.
No one likes being told what to do.
I got free. It's all about that.
I've worked hard to be a grown up. I want to do what I want to
do. I'm sure. So you had to get on my nerves, but yeah, no, we're hanging in there. And on the lines of that, I want to ask you. I've watched you online. I've seen you, and I couldn't go protest because of my health. I did other things by doing TV shows and talks online. I want to ask you. This is a question I want to start with you.
Okay.
And you're a whole different generation than I am, folks. So much you know that. We're a whole different generation. So I'm curious, what does being a Black man mean to you these days?
Oh man, loaded question out the gate, huh?
Exactly. Starting.
Well, honestly, it's made me rediscover my love of being a Black man. I think for so long, I was able to, I think most people of color, we were able to blend in the crowds and the friends we chose. And we never had discussions with our friends about being Black, being different, being gay, being just talking about our struggles and, the basis line of that being Black. I think that what has happened is we've been faced to, I've had some tough conversations, James, with a lot of friends, with people who have been my friends for a very long time. People I grew up with, and the conversations have been very tough. Some of them have broke my heart to its core. But what it's made me see, and it's made me I guess, realign myself with is the fact that I am a Black man. I need to love that more. I need to never let anyone disrespect that anymore. The things that I put up with a long time ago when I was younger or growing up, I will no longer tolerate. I am a Black man first. I should be treated as such, and I should be revered as the king or queen that I want to be. And I no longer want that, that part of my life where, I come from a small town in East Texas. My graduation class was 13 people, yeah, 13. So the things that I allowed myself to deal with and be put up with, and the way I was allowing myself to be talked to, whether it was because I was Black or whether it was because I was gay, that's no longer going to fly anymore. I think that I have a renewed sense of self. Um, George Floyd could have been me, I think, is what really struck me down. But it's not just him. Philando Castile, if we go all the way back to Emmett Till, like just a lot of Black men over the course of history, each one of those Black men could have been me in a different set. And Rayshard Brooks, I mean, it's just so much, and it gets to a point. Sandra Bland could have been my mother. I think that what we as Black people have to do, and we have to continue to do, is we have to look at these situations that are happening and realize one thing: these aren't just new instances, they're just being recorded. The second part of that is we need to look at the fact that it could hit closer to home than we absolutely think. So seeing a news headline and saying like, oh, that's so sad, or thoughts and prayers, or, oh my God, that hurts, and whatever, we have to really put ourselves, like we do in other situations, in those people's shoes, so to speak. Like that easily could have been any of us. Do you know how many times that I have stumbled outside of a Wendy's drunk? Do you know how many times I was in Texas and I would be driving drunk from a bar and have to pull over on the side of the road and rest my eyes so I could make it home safely to my mother, who, when she watches this, she might kill me knowing that. So we might not have to worry about it, because my mom might choke me out. But I will say, though, on that kind of note, that it's very important for us to realize that and to take note of those situations and to understand, like, most of us, especially me growing up the way I grew up, have had a privilege that I myself didn't even know I had, which is very interesting. Because I surrounded myself with white people, and I was protected by white people in this bubble that would tell me things like, well, how graphic can we get? Because I want to tell it.
Tell it. My show.
Okay. I would surround myself with white people who would say things to me like, we hate niggas, but you're not one of those. They would say things to me like, we hate faggots, but you're not one of those. And what struck me as odd is I would always just feel, oh God, they're not going to bother me today. But then I would sit by and watch them attack someone else who was Black, or attack someone else who was white, because they may not have been as smart, or they may not have been in every club. Like, I was in every club: yearbook, drama club, and National Honor Society. My God, I can't name it. But all those things mean nothing now. I can't even tell you where my medals are from those things. I can't tell you where my jackets are. My Letterman jacket, I think my mom gave it away in a garage sale. So I don't, I'm very thankful for what I had growing up, and I'm very thankful for the people I surrounded myself with, but I now surround myself with people like yourself, who I look up to so much. People like Anthony Anderson, who I love with all my being. People like my roommates, Adam Rios, Ashley Mitchell, Devontae Terry, like those people are the people that I surround myself with, who continue to remind me it's okay being you, and it's okay being Black, and you are strong, and you're important. So yeah.
It's funny because you said a lot of things that always strike me. Again, I'm another generation than you are, and I had it a little worse back in the day.
Yeah.
I could be fired for jobs because I was Black. I couldn't get hired for jobs because I was Black. I was
Yeah.
the first Black blank at a job, the first person of color blank at a job back then. And I think when you said, for me, it was always, I don't think if he was Black, James.
Yeah.
Younger, I thought, oh, they see me, James Lott Jr.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh no, wait a minute. They think Black is bad, so I'm not that.
I'm not that. That's exactly right.
I was like, oh, okay. And I stopped. I said, see the Blackness in me. I mean, don't not see it. I mean, that's kind of crazy. 3 years ago, I was stopped in West Hollywood, of all places, at a 7-Eleven. I always tell this story, but I think it's just very important for people to see this and hear this. See me. I'm James Lott Jr. Even if you don't know who I am, I'm a nice person. I I don't, I'm not a gang member. I don't have, saggy pants or that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm
Right.
on television. I do all these things. And none of that mattered the
Right.
afternoon that I was in 7-Eleven with my white friend trying to get a cherry pie. Now, I shouldn't have got a cherry pie. There's too much sugar.
Those are delicious, though.
They were. I wanted one.
They're so good. And the cheeseburgers are, you know what, we'll have to take a 7-Eleven trip.
Sorry. So I'm sitting there in line, minding my own business, and then a SWAT team of white cops with rifles scream at me to turn around, put my hands up against the freezer. And I had a gun in my back of my head, 2 guns pointed at my side, and 1 gun.
Oh, my God.
And everyone else in the store was white. They didn't tell them to do that.
Oh,
As other SWAT teams went behind and looked around, and I remember I had trauma for like 2 months after that. I remember, and it wasn't the first time I was stopped by police. That wasn't it. It was the first time a SWAT team stopped me in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday afternoon in West Hollywood, where all that became I was black.
Wow.
I could have been killed. And so when these things came up this year, it hit me differently. It reminded me that in my late 40s, I could have been shot in the head, handcuffed, taken in, abused, anything. And my white friend at the time, he said, now I know what racism is. So you saw that happen to me. He goes, now I know what racism is. Now I get it. Like, you had to see it to get it. And what they told me was a silent alarm went off. That's why they showed up. But I said, why just have it to me? And they told me to shut up. They were doing their job. Don't question them.
My God.
So I know first, I'm telling people, you don't have a face of a person that I'm showing you a face right here. And unfortunately, that was one of 20 instances in my 51 years of being a black person I've had.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I know. First of all, that breaks my heart, because if anyone would look into the soul of a person instead of the color of a person, that they would know that that's not anywhere of who you are. I mean, honestly, I don't even think you would hurt a fly. And sometimes the way that I think that I've known that some people in the industry have treated you in some ways, you should be hurting more than flies. But yes, something like that happened to me in college. Granted, I met the wrong boy at the wrong time. I went to a bar, and in college is college. You meet a boy at a bar, you might go home with him. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
But I was heading home, trying to act up, and I knew something was off, because this guy was like, I need to stop at my place and pick up something. And I was like, yes. So I did that. And he did. He picked up like his clothes. He then stated, he was like, oh, I was at because we had this like river right next to our college in San Marcos, Texas, where people could go swimming and, whatever. And a lot of people would go down there late at night after the bars and get wasted and swim, which is interesting because no police ever was policing that area, or they tried to stop it. It was just like, go swim. I mean, mostly it was people just drunk, swimming naked, whatever.
Yeah.
So I went to take this boy back to the park because he said he forgot something. I was like, great. And I was like, okay, he's trying to take me to like make out point or something. Well, what's interesting is we got back to the park, and I remember him getting out, and he walked up, and I see all these other people like come out of the clearing with him. And I was like, okay, let me let up my windows, lock my car door. Ain't nobody got time for that. But then I noticed that they're not coming out with him. They're giving chase to him. So he runs up to my car to get in, and I was like, I'm not getting involved. It's not my name is Bennett, and I ain't. So I'm not. So I pulled off. The police. So I pulled off. I go get my friend Lacey. We go back. I was like, listen, I'm worried about him. I don't want him to be hurt. Like, I mean, she's like, all right, let's just go back and check it out. We go back. It's full of police. I pull up. The police immediately pull me out of my car and asked me, put my hands on the hood, and they were like, you're coming with us. They did not put me in cuffs or read me rights. They told me that the guy I had picked up had been going around to the lake late at night, to the river, late at night, and stealing people's property, like clothes, phones, everything. So remember I told you he asked me to stop him at his house to get a bag of clothes. So the police was like, you're getting in the back of our car first and only and ever time, God willing, I'm ever going to be in the back of a police car. Yeah. They put me back there, and we were riding, and I kept asking the policeman, I was like, what's wrong? What did I do? And he was just like, no talking. He said, when we get home, if you have what we think you have in your car, then you're done and you're going to jail. And I was just like, okay. And in my mind, I was like, well, I ain't got shit in my car, so I'm good. But then I thought, oh wait, the guy did stop at his house and pick up something. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what happened, it was going to be my word against his, a white man, by the way, who I picked up. And and it didn't. Luckily, when we got back, I didn't see this, but when he got out of the car at the clearing at the river, which is where he was going to actually, I guess, steal more things, he took the bag out with him. So the cops searched my car. There was nothing in there. And I remember the cops saying, be careful, you pick up at the bar next time. And then they let me out. That was a very, very scary night for me. I remember going to Walmart and getting Bluebell ice cream after, because when I'm stressed, I eat. And I eat whatever I can get my hands on.
Yes.
So I went and did that. And I remember my friend Lacey stayed with me all night, and she's like, are you okay? And I was just like, I've never been treated that way in my life, ever. So it was very tragic for me. But here we are, 2020. Now we're watching over our shoulders all again. So here we go.
I say all the time, I'm hyper aware of my blackness when I leave my property. And now I'm aware of my blackness at my property. So now it's both.
Yeah, you have to.
Now it's starting to be both. Now I want to ask you a related question, because this is even more important on some level.
Okay.
We had Pride Month. It was also your birthday.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Like me, we had birthdays during COVID.
Yeah.
Mine was worse, because I was back when my birthday happened. Everything was really closed down. I couldn't do anything.
Yep.
But what does it mean being a Black gay man within the gay community? Because I have my own issues out here with the gay community,
I do too.
the white gay community. So I'm just curious. I always want to ask you this question. I was very curious what you, because you have multicolored friends like I do, multiracial friends. I'm really curious what you think.
So this is a two-part question. I'm gonna get two-part answer to this question I'm gonna give you. So, how does it feel being a Black gay man? Well, if you are talking in parts to how does it feel when I'm dealing with my white counterparts that in the nightlife or even in the day life or whatever, I always feel like they are working to be superior to me. I always feel like they think less of me in some way. I always feel like if we go out to dinner, they're like, oh, Dorell, I got the bill. And it's not I got the bill because I'm your friend. It's more of I got the bill because I don't think you got it. It's we're going out for a night on the town, and I'm going to make sure I announce to put the drink down on the card. And it's like, most of you that are my white gay friends, honey, I could buy, sell, and trade you. So I'm going to let you swipe your card. Right. I know that because I'm going to let them swipe their card and make them feel good about themselves. But, that's one part of it. Now, the other part of being a Black gay man and dealing with my cis Black family and friends, that's a little bit more difficult, and that's a little bit multi-layered, because I remember when the Black Lives Matter movement first started, and we've lost so many of our trans women and men in the past 2-3 years, to be honest. Obviously over time, yes, but in the past 2-3 years, I feel like I can't turn on the news without seeing one of my Black trans brothers or sisters murdered. It's very tough, because I do understand, like I said earlier, I am a Black man first, but it has gave me pause and a lot of time to think. Obviously, quarantine, you have a lot of time to think.
Oh, yes.
And you just sit and think with your thoughts. And it has bothered me that my cis Black men and women seem to say Black Lives Matter until it comes to the lives of the LGBTQIA community. That has always worried me. That has always upset me. I blame those old school uncles. We all grew up with them. We know them well. We also know the aunties who they loved you, but they would talk to you like this because they think that's how you talk. But I saw something beautiful that gave me hope. In Los Angeles, they did the Black Lives Matter march and Pride and combined them together. And for the first time, I saw people of all different races, people of all different, genders, identities, and what have you, sexualities, all joined together for a common cause, because at that moment they said all Black Lives Matter. That was something that sticks out to me that I'll never forget. Here in New York, Adam, who is not only my roommate, but he's also in Pride the Series, he plays Shanita, and one of the co-hosts of the podcast, he actually encountered a gentleman who walked up to us when we were doing a march a couple of weeks ago, And the gentleman said, I just want you to know that I just got out of prison because I was abusive to my trans partner. I didn't know how to understand it. I didn't know how to deal with it, but now I do know that I was wrong and I was a bad person. And I feel bad and I miss her. And I really feel like I missed out on the love of my life because of my actions. And that to me is self-awareness that I feel like people are coming to. People are coming to a self-awareness in this country um, that is giving me hope. It's giving me hope. Like people understand we need to go vote November 3rd. People are understanding we need to go out in the streets and we need to protest and we need to look over each shoulder for each other. People are understanding that when you are oppressed, we cannot separate an oppressed group because we're all under the same umbrella and we need to support and love each other. And I don't want people to take movements and try to switch them. Like, for example, that Oyewatoyan, I believe is how you say her name, the young African American girl who was killed, and there was another lady who was killed with her as well. Her name escapes me right now. May they both rest in peace. But I know that when people found out that it was a Black man who did it, they immediately were like, "See, look, there's that," and it's just like evil knows no color. Evil knows no color, but that does not take away from what happened to Black men in America and Black women. Same thing that was going on with the other thing that just happened recently with Vanessa Gillen, the Army
Yeah.
lady. She was an officer in the Army. People are like, oh, well, see, it was a Black man that killed her, and why aren't we saying Mexican lives matter? And it's like, yes, that happened, but let's be clear at the beginning of that. Sexual assault victims matter. And she was sexually assaulted and she was abused and she was going to report that. But because men, particularly cis white men in America, have told us time and time again, do not believe women, well, she didn't feel strong enough to come forward. So if you're going to address the fact that Mexican lives matter, which they do, of course, and if you're going to address the fact that, oh, she was killed by a Black man, which she was, of course, and his white woman that he was mistress that he was cheating on his wife with. Let's also address the fact that there's sexual harassment going on within the armies that has been happening for years, that because it's built on a patriarchal system, we have decided to ignore. Like let's get to the basis of things, because I feel like sometimes, just like in biblical times, are people who are really, into the Bible, and I grew up Baptist, very much into it, very much into my faith, but people like to pick and choose what goes for them versus what doesn't go for them. And all I'm just reminding people is, like, if you're going to come out the gate and you're going to say things like, oh, well, what about this and what about that? Let's read everything. Let's be clear about everything. And it's just very, very tragic.
I always call it the pain Olympics.
Yeah.
Their pain is worse than other people's pain.
Yeah.
Like you said that, you basically said that earlier. Because all evil is evil, pain is pain, sorrow is sorrow. I think, for me, as again, as an older Black person, I hope that change is going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I will say this: it does feel there's a difference in the air this time.
It is.
There's a difference. I mean,
yeah.
For me, I can compare it to 30 years ago or 25 years ago. There is a difference in the air. I feel it. It's a difference. So people my generation, we're hoping that finally it'll happen. Because I always say it to anybody younger than me, chances are you're going to live longer than I do. And so what world do you want to live in? Like, this is your world. Like, what do you want to live in? So it's like, it's you to create it.
Well, something that you said, James, that's really crazy. With everything going on now, it used to be that way where we thought people younger than you would live longer than you. But as we're seeing with multiple Black men, there was a little Black girl who was killed the other day when there was a shootout that was shooting into her car. There was also in the Bronx a few days ago, a Black man that was walking holding his daughter's hand, and he was gunned down and the little girl ran off. So I don't necessarily even know if it's about age anymore. It's more about the fact that, like, yo, people, stop killing us. Like, just stop killing us. And, back in the day, as my great grandmother would say, let the ailments take you out. Like, let that take you out. Like, I've never understood. And, something that haunts me to this day is the shooting at the church in South Carolina. I can't get past that for some reason, just because that could have been my church. We did I remember when we had one or two white people that would come to our church, and how we would feel about that. And the thing about it is this, it's like, as Black people, we've relied so much on our faith, and for people that came in and dealt with, that guy who came in, Dylan Roof was his name, and he came into the church and he took those lives. It's always struck me as, what gave people the right? What gives, going even back to Columbine, to that awful shooting in Sandy Hook, even to the shooting in Florida at the school that happened there, and again, it escapes my brain. Quarantine kind of has me all jumbled up, but my point being with all of that, what gave someone the right to say, today, I'm going to play judge and jury and take someone's life? Obviously, to the LGBT community, and even to the Latin community, I think Pulse is one of the biggest tragic events that we've had in history, where someone sensitively came in and killed a lot of people who were Black and brown for the most part. I remember getting that text. I was in Los Angeles, and I was twerking at a bar, and I remember getting a text with an alert about and that's what's crazy, right? Everyone was living their lives, even not only just at the bar, but in other areas of the country, at other different gay bars, because it was Los Angeles Pride time that I was there. And I remember getting an alert about what was happening in Pulse, and it was like, if you're in Pulse, run, or something like that. I don't really remember the context of it, but it was very, very scary and interesting to find out 30 minutes later what was really going on. And that while I was riding home in a cab and we were drinking and taking shots and doing XYZ, there was a shooting. People's lives were slipping away because of this senseless violence. So it just breaks my heart, and it just really gives me pause on mental health in America. And just evil in general.
Yeah. Well, for me, it is age, because wait till you get a little older, you'll understand. I hate saying that. It's like my parents, but it's the truth. I'm in my 50s. For a lot of us, and we talk about this, my age group, we talk about this, I was there through AIDS. So I remember a virus coming in, not knowing how you spread it, what to do, and I was scared. But our government wouldn't even say the words. Our government did nothing for us, as my friends died. I was so young, and I remember I have a picture. There's 9 of us, and 7 are dead. And I watched each of the 7 die before I was 21 years old. I can't even look at the picture anymore. I can't even look at it. And so me and my friend who are still alive, we're still friends, and we're like, we made it. 33 years later, we're still here. But I was part of Active Sacramento. I was out there. I was marching all.
You were out there
back then doing it. I was part of organizations in the 90s in San Francisco. I did a lot. So for me, I'm kind of tired. So I'm so glad that the younger generation is picking this up, because I just feel like I did all this years ago.
You did it.
And I'm still doing this again 30 years later. And then, but the problem I want to bring up the age thing is, I'm glad you're saying this stuff, because I want younger people to understand. I've heard there's been a lot of backlash against my generation, the one before me, saying we didn't do enough. I've been seeing a lot of that in the ether, and I'm like,
oh my God,
and that pisses me off. Whoopi Goldberg even talked about it. It pisses me off.
Yeah,
like, you can't do that. It's like you can't blame us for stuff. The fact that I got a job, that was the political statement.
Yeah.
The fact that I had a gay, Black, male, erotic artist and did a show for him. That was political. Like, it's like a shout out to Belasco. He's gonna still around. But I'm just saying that this was 30 years ago when I found him and had to fight in San Francisco, which you think is the most liberal city in the world, to showcase his art of beautiful Black men. The white men, he could do it all the time, but because it was brown for some reason, it was like, we can't do that. And I did it successful. But the point was that I've been fighting for years. I've been fighting for so long. I'm tired of fighting.
You're tired of doing it.
So I'm encouraged by your generation and Gen Z being out there. My grandkids marched. I was so proud of them. They marched for their Black granddaddy. They went out there and marched. I was very proud of them. Shout out to Scarlett and Zayden. And so for me, it's don't bash your ancestry. People before I was born during the civil rights movement in the 60s, and they were things I can't even imagine. My grandmother talks about going to the South. She's from New York, going to the South and can't drink out of the water fountain, almost getting arrested at 14.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, when people are getting upset about these signs that are saying no mask only, I'm wondering, are y'all the same people who were upset when they said no white, no blacks, whites only? Like, I'm just like, I
Well,
don't. If people don't see the phrase, James, that history is literally repeating itself, but in a different form, that blows my mind, and they pay no attention to history. They don't. I mean, it's literally repeating itself just because it's slightly different. Um, it's nothing. So, funny story. So there's a lady, actually, she was my teacher in school. Shelly Luther is her name now. You might know her from Dallas. She was the salon artist who famously went against the law, went to jail, and what have you. I haven't spoke out about her because I've had people ask me because they see, wait, you're friends with her on social media, blah, blah, blah. She got what she deserved. And let me just explain. Here's the thing. Shelly in school, I remember a story. She was dating the state trooper. She's famous for dating men in power or marrying them, by the way. She was with the state trooper in school, and there was a kid in our school, a couple of black kids who people always figured like, oh, they're the problem children. And listen, they definitely had their share of problems, regardless of being black or not. They were always those kids who, you know, they were like, what you up to? It's like school's out, so they would go hang at the corner store after school and hang out. Yeah. And then just play music out of their trucks and probably smoke weed behind the car wash, which I did not do when I was younger because I was a princess.
Do I believe that fully, or were you really a princess? Were you like demure and
I was okay. It's a funny story. I was really, really good. I did not drink. I did not smoke. I did not do any of those things. I remember the first time I had a sip of beer. I was like 17, graduating. It was a graduation night, and I had a sip of beer, and I did not like it. And I was just like, "This is gross. I'm never gonna drink this." Still don't to this day. In college, did not drink, did not smoke, did not do anything. Okay. I was the DD. The Dorell you meet now, though, is down for a party.
So, that's not the new Dorell, man. I don't know. That's not the latest version of Dorell. I'm like, I don't.
That's not the latest version. That's not the. Remember, us in DC.
Yes,
at the award show.
Version I know. I'm like, Anywho,
God, I told Anthony. I said, why did we meet Anthony? I said, I love the streets. I love the turn up. So now I love the party. But my point being is, she used that opportunity with dating a state trooper to say, oh, this black kid stole something from me. Do you know, to this day, that black kid was basically banished from our school. We never heard from them again. And basically the state trooper was like, if you enter town, I'll kill you, and these kind of things. We didn't think about things like that back then, right? And for me, I was just like, oh my God, like this is wild. This is a crazy situation. And now I know. Now I know how it feels and what it means to, and what she did by using her white privilege and the fact that she was with a man in power. She was also still got it. Listen, I'll give her this. Shelly Luther, I believe it is now, which also, side note, a little bit of tea. She took her second husband's last name. That's not even the guy she's with now, but that's a whole other story. Oh, but she looks great. Homegirl looks great. I mean, she does the right amount of Botox. And when I was in school, she was the hot teacher. She would have on the short skirts, the cut open shirts, and she was a great volleyball coach. She was a great basketball. I mean, she was pretty bomb. And she's always liked me. Shelly has always liked me. She came to New York to visit me. Like she's great, and she's a great singer. But now I understand that she has been using her white privilege for all along. And going back to the beginning of the conversation, the reason that she was so okay with me was because I was protected in that white bubble that I discussed in the very beginning. And you see, that's how you put a puzzle together.
I love it. Mm-hmm.
And it just clicked in for me. And it was just like, oh, I wonder how she would have seen me if she would have seen me as one of the other problematic black kids that she had saw in school. What would she have done then? What if I smoked weed in school and people who knew that thought, oh, well, he's a drug head and he's an addict? Or what if I did have a sip of beer on the weekends? She would say like, oh, he's a drunk. Or like, what would she have tied me into those kids just because I was on the honor roll or the National Honor Society or an FFA or an FCA or a yearbook or started the school newspaper? Would she have still looked at me that same way? I just gave you my school resume, by the way. So that's the first time I remember most of it. So yeah, man, it's really, really, really hard to like come to terms with some of the things that I've accepted as a Black man growing up, as opposed to, you know, what I'm accepting now, you know, and I'm hoping that, you know, I know you're a huge fan of daytime, as am I. I'm hoping that the daytime community is able to figure some things out, because there's been some people online that have said some things that I don't know how they're gonna bounce back from that. There's a lot of actors who have said
they go Rademacher. I'm just gonna say a few people that have been saying some stuff.
I don't know if they gonna bounce back. Listen, there's some people that are. I'm concerned. I'll be honest with you. I'm 100% concerned how not only are they going to be able to bounce back from it, but how the working environments. If you've seen on Twitter, there's a couple of people from Days of Our Lives who have basically said, we're not tolerating this bullshit when we get back to set. And I'm curious that, and General Hospital too. As I'm, you know, I always try to stay off the record when it comes to Days and GH, because I work and know a lot of those people there, as you do too.
That's why I said it kind of like trying to cheat.
We do, and listen. Here's the thing. I was a character working at the Metro Court, I believe it was the Metro Court bar, who basically welcomed Ingo Rademacher back into the show with Nancy Lee Grahn in their first scene. And I remember him being so funny, and he was so kind. And he just talked, and he was like, you know, it's your first time. I was like, oh, I'm from New York and I'm filming this. He's like, you should be so proud of yourself. Like, you know, coming from New York, I mean, basically that was him saying they could have hired anybody to do this, which I digress. But it's going to be very interesting going back to these sets and seeing things, not only because of coronavirus, let's just put that out there, because the landscape of soaps, which is built on love in the afternoon, it's going to change. It's going to change. Like, there's no way. I mean, Bold and the Beautiful, I can't wait to see it. Honestly, I don't watch Bold and the Beautiful like that. I usually only watch when they have something like, first of all, I watch when all the Black people are on there because I'm rooting for everybody Black. I even watched when Lil Nia from Dance Moms, God bless her, was on there. I watched when they let a white man kill her. So that was whatever. But I'm interested to watch Bold and Beautiful going back, because they're the first ones who kind of started, and they're also the first ones who decided to do the whole like the blow up dolls, the dummies that they have, the standing 6 feet apart doing camera tricks, and letting spouses come in to do the love scenes. So let me tell you, I love Thorsten Kaye. He's brilliant. Love him. One of the nicest men I've ever met. But he does not look like Denise Richards' husband, Aaron Cyphers. They do not look alike body type-wise. Like, Aaron got a body. Thorsten, great too, cool. But Aaron, I'm like, so Rich don't have an 8-pack? What's going on? So I'm curious to see how Bold and the Beautiful is going to shake that out. And I think, honestly, the soaps like Days of Our Lives, Young and the Restless, General Hospital, that's why Young and the Restless is starting back next, because they wanted to give Bold and the Beautiful a chance to, I'm sure the executives are over there watching Bold and the Beautiful film, and at this point, they probably edited a few episodes. So I think that those shows were like, let me see what's going on over here to see what they're doing, and then start rolling out their own procedurals. And, you know, General Hospital is a very large show with a very large cast. They were actually about to start filming the Nurses Ball. Right. I was going to be probably going out for that. And it was going to be very interesting to see how they did it. And last I heard, I think they still are doing the Nurses Ball, actually. But it's going to be very different.
Yeah, as the person out here, you know, with all the networks, it's just tough because, again, the virus is getting bigger again out here.
Yeah.
Like they're pushing back, want to start pushing back. Bone People's completed one full episode so far.
Yeah.
So that's, I talked to Casey who works there. So I'm very curious to see how that looks. Like you, I'm curious how it looks. I want to be hopeful again. I want to be hopeful. I'm not, but I want to be hopeful. They just had the Lonnie wedding on Days, and I hated it. So that's another story. I mean, and a lot of fans hate it also. And it's the first African-American wedding on Days of Our Lives history.
Yeah.
Jake,
but we had to tell them that. We as an audience had to tell them that. that wasn't when they wrote that episode, they were like, oh, those episodes, sorry.
Yeah.
They were like, we are writing a show with drama to have people stop the wedding and to do all of that.
Exactly.
Like, they were writing a traditional silk wedding and they were not thinking about the race or the impact of what was happening on camera. But I think now they know. I don't think, I'm still very fortunate that you had two fine ass people like Lamone and Sal. Like, baby, they looked great. But did we really need the mama passing out? Which Marilyn
McCoo,
baby, you are a legend.
Yes.
But that passing out, then you know what it is? It's not shows, and not just soaps, have came more about plot than character development. And that I still feel after 2 appearances by her mother, I still don't know Lonnie's mother, even though back in the 70s or 80s, she was only on there for a brief period of time. So for me, it's just like, oh, so you had this woman come and faint. Like, why didn't you have her have a heart attack? If you're gonna do it, do it. If you're gonna do it, let's do it. And I don't mean that to say like let's kill her off, but also Vanessa Williams looking like a straight up snack. Like, she looked amazing. I was like, Vanessa Williams, like, yo, and I'm all down for stunt casting. Having Marilyn and Billy back is amazing. But if we're gonna have them on there full time, they should do some acting classes or something. Just they should do something. I love them though, and I honestly use Marilyn for her talents that she is really good at. She's an amazing singer. Why didn't you not have her sing at the wedding? Have her do that. Have her sing at the wedding and have Vivian be the one that interrupts. That's fine. I didn't mind the Vivian one. The Gabby one was no point. No point. You don't need that. You also didn't need the mom passing out. Have her sing, have Vivian interrupt if you're going to do a shooting. But I think maybe that's because of what's coming up with the sin.
I know. I mean,
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
I want to, kind of end things on a happier note, because this is my first chance to get to ask you these questions. We both went to an award show last year.
Yes. Capital City Web Awards. Thank you, Anthony.
And we were, I'm so laughing. And we both won.
Yes.
An award. So, and I was very happy for you. I've championed Pride the Series all these years. I have.
Yes, you have.
I have. And so you guys won. You guys tied for Best Ensemble. So first I want to ask you, what are some of your feelings about Anthony starting an award show to honor content specifically that is mainly and mostly African American? Not exclusively, but it was flipped than other award shows. It's like mostly. So what did you feel about that?
Well, I was honored, first of all, that Anthony would even consider having us be a part of it. I was able to present on stage, which was, my first time being able to do something like that in that capacity. Anthony really brought Hollywood to the African American community, I feel. I remember how excited we were, all dressed up, all on the red carpet, all just feeling good. And so good. Oh, thank you. I mean, if any men out there are looking to go on a date, I am currently looking. I'm looking for a quarantine
He's a catch. He's a catch.
I'm a whole bass of a fish. I promise you, it's great. No, but Anthony, he, you could just feel the love in the room. And for once, it wasn't even about if we won or if we didn't. I was also up for the award of Best Actor. Pride was obviously up for Best Show. It was different things. But I want to say what was so amazing to me about losing those categories and winning the ensemble, because I always have been a person that say, I don't win unless my team wins. And my team won. So that to me was great. And it wasn't even about us, tying with other people. And it was literally about us being able to celebrate people, shows that were created for African-American people, by mostly African-American people. And I just found it wonderful. I thought what Anthony did was pioneering. I was shocked, because I know how hard that man worked. Like, there were a few nights I would call him, and then I mostly tried to stay away from Anthony during the process, particularly because when Anthony gets very deep in something, he has his whole heart and soul into it, and he ain't got time to get on the phone and gab and gossip. So he did something that was wonderful, something that I'll never forget. I'm actually looking at my Capital City Award right now.
Mine's over here. Mine's over there.
In my corner. It was beautiful. It was very wonderful, and I loved every bit of it. Yeah,
it's funny because it's funny to see. This is something that reminded me of something. it was a tough time me getting there, first of all. And it was
Yeah.
funny because I really wanted to be there for him and for the community. You're so right. I think I was going to win anyway. I just thought, I'm the old guy from California. I ain't going to
I
win.
did think you were going to win. I did.
People just say that, and Anthony was like, "Well, of course you're going to win." I think, no, I did not think that. I thought, I'm coming. But that's the beautiful part of this. I was like you. I was coming to support this historic show. It's historic.
Yeah.
It's a historic show. And I thought,
so historic.
Win or lose, whatever, I got to be there for him. So when I was having all the problems with the plane and then I had the train, I was like, I just want to get, I literally got there 2 hours before the show started. I was like, I got to get there just so I can be there for Anthony and support him. Because again, like you, I'm friends with him. We've talked about what was going on.
Yeah.
So I know I lost for best host. That was the first award up. And I thought, okay, well, that was fine. I lost. I mean, I didn't think it was going to win anyway. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then I won for best show, best news entertainment series. And as everybody knows, my famous speech. I told Anthony, I'm so sorry I spoke for a minute and a half. I didn't mean to.
We were on our feet. It was an amazing time.
It's so great.
Yeah, so good.
I mean, literally, my tie was on. I thought I was not going to win. I was just sitting there, and my girl was like, "James, you won." Now, I heard him say breaking. I heard her say breaking into James. I'm like, "You say my name?" And they're like, I saw Candace and Matt get up, and I was like, "James, get your award." I was like, "Oh, okay." And basically that speech was from my brain.
It was so good.
They didn't prepare nothing. My tie hanging off. I
didn't prepare anything either. At this point, I was like, well, I've lost every other award. So and they said, that's ensemble. And they were like, it's a tie. And I was just like, well, it's definitely not going to be Pride then. They said, first one out the gate, Pride to see. I was like, holy shit, let me get up out of this chair.
That's what and you're right. And the thing was, because I won best show. So I felt like that's better than best. I mean, best host is good too. Like, those are all good. But it's like, I did work hard on that show. I produced it. I wrote it. I booked it.
You did.
Best I put. I mean, I did it all myself. So I'm like, that is an accomplishment. That it shows people I can produce something. It shows that you can have a great cast for your show, which is a great cast for your show. But I just thought for me, I was so happy for you, and because I knew you already, because I didn't know everybody there, but I knew you.
Right. I know.
And, I was like, and I had to present to Lauren B. Martin, who's my friend. I got to present to her, and she won.
Love Lauren.
I love Lauren. So, but it's just like, but I knew you guys and you and Adam and Ash. I knew all you guys. So it's like, and I saw you guys at the Emmys the year before. And it was like, it's this funny thing. I watched your journey going, and I know him. I know other people up there, and they won. I was so excited for you guys. I thought, here is a series that has LGBTQI characters in it. We have like a drag queen in it. We have straight people in it. We have white, black. Your whole cast is so diverse. Your storylines are so diverse. But I thought, this is so great that even in this forum, because Black folks sometimes are very close-minded, but in this forum, they found that your show ensemble was good.
They did, and that to me meant more than they'll ever know. I thank all the voters for that because that's what I felt too. I felt it solidified, like I'm doing something right. There's been times as an independent producer, as you may know, where you feel like this isn't working, or I'm down on this, or this isn't, I don't need to continue this, or, maybe this isn't just for me. But every time Pride receives accolades, or, now with the podcast that has came into focus, every time something new is born from this baby that I gave birth to in 2013, I'm just like, wow, this is all worth it. Like, it's all worth it.
Let me ask you, so how is it in my world now doing podcasting? So what is that like for you guys?
Well, you know what? It gives people a chance to get to know us. I think that, when people are actors, most of the time, especially with budgets, and I learned this just from soaps, and not just soaps, even primetime serials as well. When I guest starred on Blue Bloods, you go in, you shoot your part, you go home. You don't really get to get to know somebody. That only time can happen is when you are involved in that storyline with that person. You can work on the same set with a person and not see them the whole time. There were people that I worked with in Pride the series that were on Pride the series that I didn't see the whole time because we didn't have a scene together.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, for instance, Adam and I, even though we lived together, Adam and I did not have a scene in season 2 of Pride the series.
Yeah, no, you guys. I know you guys.
We did not. So we never came across each other. So a lot of times when Adam was on set filming, I was doing stuff on the production side, or I was getting set up for a scene for Kai later on, and we never interacted. So it's been a great chance for us to have people get to know the real us, see our silliness, see that we are goofy as all get out. we've had some really great guests that
That's a
have
good guess.
became some really lifelong friendships. Kirsten Storms, who everyone knows famously from General
Love her.
Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Xenon. She has become one of my dear friends. Her and I check in on each other daily. She actually just texted me to see how I'm doing. We check in on each other daily now. Peter Page, our first guest out of the box, he was absolutely what I looked up to, growing up from Queer as Folk until I discovered Noah's Ark and saw Black gay representation, which Noah's Ark reunion, people check it out on YouTube. It was amazing.
Tony Morris about that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I just think it's a good thing to be able to have people know me, know the real authentic me, can see my silliness, know things about me that, we've had some episodes where we have revealed demons about things we face, weight issues, being Black in America, obviously, being Black and gay, what Adam has felt being a Latino gay man. Like we've talked about some heavy hitting things. And as we continue with the podcast and we continue revealing more about ourselves, I really hope more people come along for the ride with us and just realize that, although we've done TV and although we've done films and all of that stuff, we are humans and we are people, because I'm trying to get rid of this notion that people who say actors should just act and do nothing else, and they have their only job is to entertain us. Well, that's not our only job.
Nope.
Our actual job is to be humans and to live and to make sure that there is equality and to use our platforms to ensure all of those things for the future generations. That's our job. Our job is to have something in history that future generations can look back on and learn a lesson from. That can be a horror film, that can be an action film, that can be a drama, comedy, podcast, what have you. We are here as artists to make marks on the world so that when we are gone and long gone, people can look back and say, oh, look at Pride the series. Where are all these actors? Oh, they're not around anymore. But you know what? This character of Kai changed my life. This character of Trina, changed my life. This character of Travis, oh God, I'm just like him. Or this character of Shanita has opened me up to a part of myself that I didn't know existed. That's what I want to leave on the world.
Well, you're doing it already.
Thank you.
Whether you know it or not. And I'm just going to say this out loud because I'm shady. I know I'm not a celebrity or anything, but I'd love to be on your show one day with you guys. But I know I'm not.
No. Oh, no, you are. Okay. So interesting story.
I know I'm a nobody in Los Angeles. I don't know
Oh my God.
or nothing.
I'm not going to play with you. Listen, I would love that. We actually just signed with a new PR firm that we're going to be announcing very soon. That are going to be helping us curate additional guests coming up, because Outfest coming up in August and different things we have. But I would love, you are on our books of list of people that we want to have on the show. So it's Anthony, a whole host of you. And I want it to be when you guys come on and talk about things that obviously are very important to you, and you and I can talk about that offline, but I'm very excited about it.
I know, I'm just shady. I just say stuff like that. I'm just going to say
that. Yeah, I can't wait.
I mean, I'm not a big, huge name or like that or anything. I mean, I know a few. I mean,
you know quite the people. Honestly, one of the most scary times in my entire life was sitting on your show, the show I did with Adam. I was terrified. And I was just like, listen, I did the red carpet thing with him, which also, let me point this out. Something that you did to me, I don't think you will ever understand. You and Novell Lee both did this. I don't think y'all will ever understand how many people, when I'm walking that red carpet, and then essentially to the soap fans, I'm a nobody unless you pay very close attention to every under 5 person that walks across General Hospital set. I've been around for a while, like showing up, and people have just kind of gotten to know me, and they're like, oh, there's that kid. We kind of know him. He's been around. But walking my red carpet for one of the first times that I walked it, and I was able to be interviewed and everything, you'll never know how many people skipped me before you stopped me and said yes. And that, to me, will always stick out as one of my favorite memories of you, because I was going through all of these white people who were not stopping for me because they wanted to listen, I get it. I'm not the star. You want to get to the stars. I'm not even mad about that. But I also saw them interviewing some people who also were not stars, but they just wanted to. Yes. So I remember going to Novell. Novell and I have been friends for a very long time, and he did an interview of me. I stopped by Errol Lewis, and from Soap Opera Network, and he was amazing. And then I got to you, and I was just like, oh, he's probably gonna pass me up as well, and you didn't. And you pulled me aside and had the longest and best, and honestly, one of the only other interviews I can find online of me. Um, and I just thought that that just meant so much. And I was just like, eh, the love and the heart that you have for not only the genre, but for me and what I've been doing is unmatched. And I will always be grateful to you for that.
Thank you. Now, you know I'm a crier, so I'm going to cry to me cry. You know I'm a crier. But thank
No,
you.
yeah.
I appreciate it. No, I will always support young Black artists. Always. That's just how, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't care how that looks or how that sounds. I'm unapologetic about it. I tell people I got a lot of attacks recently because I was speaking out on racist issues online. I've got a lot of
Yeah.
attacks. But I tell folks all the time, look at my record. I've always supported the underdog on all of my
Yeah.
shows, on all of my platforms, on all
Absolutely.
my retweets and all my sharings. I've
Yeah.
been doing it for the last 13 years. So that's how
I know that's right.
so I said, look at my record. James Lott Jr. has been fighting the fight for people.
Know who I am. Check my stuff.
Yeah, I talk to celebrities too. Yeah, Michelle
I
Stafford's
know.
my buddy. Sean Kanan's my buddy. But I'm
I
telling
love Michelle. I love Michelle. Michelle was actually, because you and I both have the gap, and
you, yes, yes.
I definitely had to ask my mama, you my daddy, but that's a whole other statement. I was like, is
I'll
this
be
my
your
dad?
dad. Sure, why not?
My mom also has a gap too, and I'm just like, what's going on? So interestingly enough, General Hospital had just won Best Show like 3-4 years ago at the Emmys, and I remember being on the stage because Frank Valentini was like, "Come up here, you were in the show this year," and I was like, "Frank, no." But I was just like, "Fuck it." So I go up on stage, and I remember Michelle's like, "Oh my god," and she's like, I remember she was literally talking to Galen Gehring from Days of Our Lives and Passions, and she's sitting down and she's speaking to him, and she looks up at me. I mean, the show's over, like the confetti has fell, and Michelle Stafford literally says, "Come here." She's like, "You have a gap," and I was just like, "Oh my god," she's about to say something horrible. She's like, "Don't ever get rid of that." She said, "That is amazing." She said, "That is a moneymaker. Don't ever get rid of that gap." And I was just like, okay,
I won't. You
I
said it.
won't.
I
I
won't.
will not. I will not. I will not. And so I definitely got to get Michelle Stafford as well on the podcast. I saw that you and her were doing this thing where you were going and reorganizing people's things.
Yeah, Michelle and I are really close friends. I mean, I still can't. I've known her 5 years. I've been to her house many times. Her kids. We text each other. We text all the time. Like you said, Chris,
Yeah.
all the time. She's like, "Come on over." And we always talk. No, she is seriously one of the most down to earth. I call her homegirl. She's my homegirl. She's just seriously down to earth. And they were attacking her for a while because of the Victoria Rowell stuff and things were going on. But she, like you said, they actually kind of made up a little bit too over the. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes people just don't know about. They just read
Yeah.
stuff and pick and choose things. I'm like, Michelle Stafford is not racist. Let me just tell you that I know personally she is not.
Yeah.
So,
I think that what people don't understand, James, also is fans, for instance. We are fans, but I feel like because we have a certain thought process and a certain experience in the industry, we see and understand people a little bit better. Like when people are upset about budget cuts, because I want to check on you about Hope
I was
Brady.
sad for a day and a half.
I know.
I went silent for a day and a half. I did.
But what people have to understand is there are things that happen. Like what I think Dave Realize is about to do is something that Port Charles did when it was a soap, and it basically did cycles and cycled people in and out, which not only gives people a chance to work on other projects, but it gives you a chance to see all of those Salem faves that they cannot bring back. Do people understand that if they're able to do a 13-week cycle with all of these actors, the type of stories that we would see, the type of characters we would see, like we would be able to see those stars who don't have time to be on the show anymore.
Yeah.
We'd be able to see, those people come back to the show and do all that. And I think about it, and I'm like, do you know how many people we would be able to see Lisa Rinna make appearances as Billy Reed? Because she'd be like, oh, 13 weeks, no problem, you got me. We'd be able to see Christy Clark being like, I live in London, but 13 weeks, you got me. Austin Peck or Patrick Muldoon, whichever one they choose this time. We'll be able to see those type of characters, Sean and Belle, Chloe Phillip, Mimi, Jan, all of those characters could come back and alternate for 13 weeks. So I don't think that this is the last we're going to see of Hope on Days of Our Lives.
I have a feeling too. I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm so sad. It's my favorite. It's like,
I am nervous, and I will admit to you, I am nervous because the same situation seems like it happened with Martha Byrne, over on As the World Turns, and they replaced her with Noelle Beck. And I'm wondering, are they going to do the same with Christian Alfonso? Because from my understanding, and I might not have much of understanding, but I don't think Hope has left Salem.
There are things there are things out there. Yes, there are things.
Yes.
What you're saying is not far fetched. That's how I'll say it on the show.
Yeah. That it's not far fetched. And people, this doesn't mean spoiler or knowing anything. Just so everyone knows, I know nothing. But what I will say is, I feel very reminiscent of Martha Byrne and what happened to her, and her leaving, and then they replaced the character of Lily Walsh on As the World Turns. So I just want fans and people to understand that while there's only one Hope and Christian Alfonso is that, I would not be surprised that if it's something where she herself doesn't want to do it anymore and doesn't want to come back, that we see a new Hope. I also don't want you to be surprised if we see Christian Alfonso on another soap very soon. If
everybody's talking, they're all talking. I mean, it's one of those things, and what they have to understand is the soaps are going through. I'll be optimistic and say a renaissance. I'll say it.
Yeah, they're going through a renaissance, a change, so to speak.
And it's tough, and and I work with many of the networks and the soaps personally behind the scenes, so I know how hard the productions are and what they're trying to do, and the viewership is down than it used to be, and there's a lot more choices, and so soap fans they're not as forgiving, and they're a little harsh. Trust me, I've gotten the brunt of many of it. Trust me, over the years. But I was just sad because she's my favorite character. But I know as a creative, there's other things to do. She's not dead in the water. I mean, not at all.
Yeah.
At all. So, but I did go silent for a day and a half, and then maybe
I'm very, very sad too.
But I just think life has changed, and changes life, and that's just kind of how it is. And I guess so. Just wrapping this up with you. I feel like you're a person who has it. You're online. You exude just like life, and I. It's always a pleasure to see you. I scroll through some stuff you're doing. It's just like there he is living his life like it's golden. But I have a crush on Adam. I've had a crush on Adam for years. That's all. It hasn't gone away.
I know. I'm trying to. I've been trying to. Me and Ashley over here telling him like, Adam, y'all should just see. And he's like, I don't think he's serious. And I'm like, I don't know, he might be.
I don't say things just to say them either, but that's what
I know that's an exclusive. I know that.
I don't say things just to say them. But you better hurry up because things may be happening for me out here already. So I don't know. We'll see.
I love that. We got to talk about that.
Not announced really yet, but there's some irons in the fire.
I know that's right. You got to.
I'm not getting any younger, so I got to do what I can.
Yeah.
But no, you are. You're just great. I wish you just more and more success. You know that I support whatever you do.
Thank you so much.
That's it. So, Pride the series, Pride the podcast. Who knows when a soap near you when he get back to life again, he might be on there.
Yes.
Tell folks where they can find everything. So tell them where they can find everything.
Yeah, so you can find Pride the series on Amazon Prime, season 1 and 2. You can also find both seasons on Tubi TV, which is free. You can also go and listen to Pride the podcast, on many different social channels. You can do Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Oh my God. There's so many podcasts.
Are you on Spotify and
iTunes? Like they're all there. Yeah. So please do that. You can also follow Pride the Series at Pride the Series on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can follow me. I am Dorell Anthony on Instagram, and that's IamDorell Anthony on Instagram. You can find me at Dorell Anthony on Twitter and Dorell Anthony, my active page on Facebook. Please give it a like. I love it.
And I will have all that stuff in the description, of course, if I can follow.
Yes.
It. And I am James Lott Jr. This is Extra Connections. You can follow us on our Facebook page, Extra Connections Show. We are on every social media platform you can think of. We're on every streaming service you can think of. And we're on YouTube under JLJ Media, my network. And of course, you can find me, James Lott Jr. We're all James Lott Jr.'s are at James Lott Jr. everywhere, even on TikTok. You only TikTok, a star on TikTok, apparently.
Yes, I love that. Also, your network's going to be hosting a new show that I'm part of, Forever and a Day. I'm super excited about that.
We had our first table read yesterday. And
I heard. I was jealous. I told Candace, I said, "Can I just come and listen?" Damn, like I'm so excited. I'm
yes, we're happy to have you on here.
I'm so excited. Like I went yesterday and I was looking and I was second billed under Beth Ehlers, and I literally grew up watching Beth Ehlers, and literally I'm second billed under her, and I was like, holy shit. So I cannot wait to come to town and manipulate and mess things up. I've been flipping through the script. I'm ready for my character to come in. I just know he's gonna stir the pot, and I can't wait.
It's good, and I'm the narrator for every other episode, so you'll be hearing my voice during the show.
Yes, I love that.
We did it. They were like, okay, so we did that. So no, you're gonna like it. So far, it's good, folks. It's really good. Forever and a Day, FAADseries.com. It's gonna be on my network, JLJ Media. I have a lot of things on JLJ Media, so go ahead and check them out. I have another show coming out with two women from the South, from Atlanta and Florida, talking about Black female issues. Yeah, we had our meeting.
Oh God, that sounds juicy.
It's gonna be really good. They're really good. Alex and Jennifer, it's gonna be really good. I also have Books, Barbells, and Nerddom. A guy from Virginia. It's really good. So I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of irons in the fire coming on JLJ Media.
I love it.
I'm a hustler. I just work on.
You better hustle, baby. Well, Lisa Rinna said she always a hustle for a dollar. So I'm a hustler. Like I'm all about a dollar. So get the bag and get the entertainment. I appreciate that.
And the point is, if people are not going to do it for you, do it for yourself sometimes.
Do it for yourself.
Dorell does that. I do that. That's the lesson. Follow our examples and whatever you want to do. So with that note, wash your hands, wear a goddamn mask, and of course, all Black Lives Matter.
All Black Lives Matter. I love you, James.